For a long time, I looked at the passage in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verses 10, as it meaning the devil. For the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I being Jesus, have come that you may have life and have it more to the full. We think that the thief is Satan, but it is not Satan. Jesus is not talking about Satan. And this is where proper hermeneutics, reading the Bible in the proper way, comes into play. To understand that passage found in verse 10, you've got to go to all the verses before and to the verses after. Once you do that, it becomes very clear. So let's start in verse 1. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. We're talking about different people who are taking care of the sheep being us. Those that follow God, we need our various shepherds. Jesus is talking about different shepherds who will tend the sheep, and only them that enter through him, meaning that those who believe in Christ and who have come to Christ, those are the ones that will guide the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name and leadeth them out. So the porter is opening up the sheep door, to the shepherd who comes by way of Christ, Christ being the ultimate shepherd. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. So this is a thing to the sheep, to us. We should know the voice of the shepherd, the true shepherd, that being Jesus Christ. We should know his voice, and we should flee from strangers who want to guard us, who want to jump over the fence or crawl under or go over. They don't want to go through the actual doorway, which is Jesus Christ. We should be able to hear that stranger's voice and run away, and we should follow only the true shepherd. And we go on to verse 6. This parable spake Jesus unto them, but they understood not what things they were which he spake unto them. And going on to verse 7, getting a little further. Then Jesus said with them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. So he's making it more specific. Those that were confused before, they understood now. Jesus is the shepherd. He is the doorway to his sheep. All that enter came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. So there are false prophets. There are false guardians that did that. He's not talking about Satan because he's referring to these people as all that ever came. He would have said singular, the one, or something to that effect, but he's talking about people who guard the sheep. Probably at that time we're talking false prophets, we're talking some of the Pharisees and Sadducees and some within the Sanhedrin. Going on to verse 9. I am the door. Jesus is the door. By me, if any man enter in, meaning that any one of us that wants to be like a pastor or a shepherd to a particular flock or a pastor must go in by Jesus Christ. No other way. No climbing over the fence, no going under the fence. They must go through the doorway, which is Christ. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find pasture. Now here's verse 10. The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. So with the preceding verses, we understand that Jesus is not talking about Satan, but talking about those that are our shepherds, our pastors, those that take care of us. But I am come that they may have life and might have it more abundantly. And then we go on further. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming. Now, if there's any Satan in the story, it's the wolf. Seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he is an hireling, and careth not for the sheep. And then Jesus coming back. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine. So the ones that don't cometh through Christ, who don't believe in Jesus, who think that there's another way around him, who climb over the fence, these are like Unitarians, Universalists, people who believe in this New Age stuff. Those pastors that are in charge of that try to shortcut their way, those pastors are the thieves that come to steal, kill, and destroy from a flock, from a church. And then they're going to leave whenever the actual wolf comes in to try and steal, to try and kill the sheep. But the ones that are of Christ, the sheep, know the pastor's voice, because the pastor uses the voice like Jesus. The sheep are able to recognize the voice of Jesus through that particular caretaker. It is incumbent upon the sheep to know the shepherd's voice, to know the good shepherd's voice. And how are we to know it? We are to know it by the words of God, the red and the black. We are to know them by the words of God through the Bible. That's how we know the good shepherd's voice. So that John 10, verse 10 passage is not talking about Satan. It is specifically talking about pastors that are in charge of the sheep, the elders who are in charge of the sheep. If they do not go by the way of Jesus, Jesus being the way, the truth, and the life, then they are thieves, and they seek to scatter. They'll just leave you. They'll leave you to the wolves, to demons, to Satan himself, to scatter the sheep. They do not care. They come to steal, kill, and destroy a church.